Hey, everybody.
Hi.
It is the end of March.
Crazy.
Seems like March just began, but now we're already at the end of March.
Oh, we are.
Time for the second book discussion for Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. And look at all these people we have sending chat messages in the comments to us about saying hi and stuff.
Are you 90? They're sending chat messages in the comments
People are sending us letters.
saying hi. Well, why don't I say hi back to some of them, like Jean and Mike and Kay and Giggles Vids and hi Kay again and Spare and Tammy and hi Kay again, Giggles Vids, Jean, Tammy, Mike. Oh, y'all just all talk to each other. And Julie and Brady and Jennifer, Joe, Martin, Nicole and Jenny, Brittany and Deirdre, and Rick and Kira, Brenda, Carolyn, Emily and Jeff. And Jody and Stacey and Victoria and Kit and Matthew and Jean and Ashley and Trish and Kay and Adrian, Martin, Katie, Cindy, Brittany, Giggles, Beth again, Judy, Nikki, Peggy, Bethany, Stacey, Deirdre.
That was like three names.
And Lucas.
Hey, so do we have some first timers here? Is that what is? Was that what I'm reading from you?
Yep. Say if you're a first timer, shout
Natalie,
it out. Shout it out to the world.
Say I'm new.
Yeah, this is my first time, and oh my gosh, this is what it is.
You will be inundated with
people.
Nice people
And
saying
old
hi.
people.
Tell me all about your books.
All people.
Yeah, but
Thank you,
so
Julie.
we got an exciting discussion. But first, I think Christy has something she'd like to say to everybody.
I do. I am so sorry. Okay, I'm really sorry.
I know what this is.
No, listen. I spend so much time every month making sure that all of our book poll choices do not end on cliffhangers if they're part of a series. But apparently, this one got by me. I was so focused on the fact that, like, can we read the duology or can we read this without having read the first trilogy that it totally slipped by. And I had no idea till I got to the end. I was like, totally shocked and horrified that I not only did it to myself, but I did it to all of you.
It's true.
And I'm so sorry.
We can this is what happened last night. I finished the book last night, and I was reading it on my Kindle. So I looked down at the bottom and it said 77% left to go, and I had just started the.
No, listen though. But the night before, he read all the way up to the Pekka Rollins chapter, and he's like, "I have the Pekka Rollins chapter next. That's interesting." I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Yeah,
because
so
I knew it was the last chapter and a very
I had
short
77%
chapter.
left, and I got to I was like, well, I'm going to start the Pekka Rollins chapter. I'm going to go in the bedroom so I can just power through this because I got like 30% of the book basically left to go. And then I read 5 pages and it was over. And the next 23% of the book is like excerpts from other books.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what?
Oh, see, I didn't have that.
Yeah, but I was in the living room, and all I hear from the other room is, "What?"
Yeah, really, really kind of caught me off guard.
If it makes you feel any better, my mom read this too with us, and she got on to me earlier this week for doing this cliffhanger thing. So,
It's okay, Christy.
I would
You
just
tried.
like to take this opportunity to say, haha, not my fault. I didn't do it. I didn't pick the one.
And what did you do?
yeah, how far did you get, Talia?
Can you see that show?
Talia's doing her bookshelf flex tonight. She's like, look at my bookshelf.
I did go on. I did not wait. I immediately read Crooked Kingdom. And then I got the Shadow and Bone trilogy. And then I got the compilation of short stories. And then I got the King Nikolai duology as
This
well.
book club costs so much money.
Did you read all of those already?
No, but I do feel like I need to read all 6 books before our next discussion so that I can focus on Red Sister. So I guess I need to read 6.5 books in the next 2 weeks.
Well, and that's actually really great timing because Netflix's show comes out like April 24th, I think.
I want to read all of it before the show. I'm very excited to watch the show. So yeah, I gotta get cracking.
So we had a bunch of people who had a similar experience. And so one of the good things about this book club is that you have a support group for when things like this happen. Like me, I can now come to you all and say, why? What was that?
Well, and I think if you had the audiobook, you knew that, there's only 12 minutes left once you get to Pekka's. So yeah, I knew that it was like, great, I know where this is going.
Yeah, and with the audiobook, I was just getting more and more stressed out. It's like, it's not over yet. There's so much more they have to do.
Well, Rebecca just finished all 7 books.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
You win.
All at once. But I can say, as a segue into what we usually talk about, that I really enjoyed this book. Like this was a fun one, and I remember turning to Christy and be like, "Man, this is a fun book." So if I have to read the next one, I'm not mad about it. I mean, I'm mad about it, but like I'm not mad about it. And that I would read the next one because, well, I just need the second half of the book, basically, like Joe said. So this is not a cliffhanger; it was just half of a book.
Yeah, it did feel that way.
But what did you think?
Well-rounded. Sorry, I was just going to say it didn't feel like it's half a book, like as in we want more plot, but it felt like a well-rounded. It's just a poopy ending. Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, yeah, it had enough. It had substance, but it just didn't end.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed it, and I have not kept going yet, but I have the second book ready to go. So it's happening.
Trish is ready.
I mean,
Oh,
yeah, that's
do what
fair.
you got to do.
I mean, yay, moonshine.
Lucas, what did you think?
I liked it. I finished reading it at about 5:30 today. To be fair, most of y'all know we're working on our own book in our book club, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. But I've been really preoccupied with that, and I liked this. I feel like I didn't quite give it the time and true focus, and plus I'm not driving anymore, and we're stuck in the house, and I don't do as well sitting here and listening. Like if I'm on the road or doing something like that, I do way better. So I liked it. And I know we'll a lot of people talk about this later. I don't want to continue right now because I would want to actually go back and give it a truly devoted listen to pick up everything, because I know there's areas where I was just kind of like half listening, skirting by to get through it. So, but yes, overall I liked it. I would like to continue on. There's a lot of other books that I would rather continue on first, but I know this it's like right there, right? She's like next to you.
That sounds good, Trish.
What'd Trish say? Ooh, apple pie moonshine. I just want apple pie.
Bobby wanted to go watch The Rock. That was, a pretty good Michael Bay movie, I'd say. Welcome to The Rock. Sean Connery.
It's a great movie. It's Nicolas Cage's best movie.
His only movie. It's not like he's ever done anything else. As a joke, he's done 3,000 movies.
We know what Talia thought of it.
I liked it. But you know what? Okay, here's the thing though. While I did get very excited and I immediately finished the duology and then I bought 6 more books by the same author. Here's the thing. It is not the best book that I've read. Honestly, we've definitely, in this club alone, we have read stuff that I have enjoyed more. But there was something I don't even want to... I don't want to say that it was the writing. The characters, I think, are what captivated me. So it was them specifically that I wanted to read more about. And it was fun. But I honestly, for those who have read Onward and agree with me, and for those who are waffling on reading Onward, the second book was stronger, in my opinion. Even though it did have, as I've mentioned before, some things that you often find in young adult books where you're like, oh, okay. I think I enjoyed the second book more.
Yeah, Katie said it's fun. It's a popcorn flick, especially after like Dune.
That was a heavy, I don't want to eat popcorn.
This is a perfect beach read. Like you go sit out on the beach and you have a lot of fun with this. And
see, this one was I don't know. For me, I love like
Come
fluffy
on,
comedic
eyeballs
stuff at the
getting
beach.
sucked out of heads and disintegrated, and that's cool. That's a great beach read.
There were a couple parts that I'm sure we'll talk about that I read, and literally, I remember I was laying down in bed, like reading at night, and I got to some of those parts, and I just went for like pages.
Or some people putting in top 5.
Yeah,
No.
Philip said it's top 5. Mike's agreeing with top 5.
Okay, that's strong. We're gonna have to start. We're gonna have to start our own rankings of our own book club. Be like, now to bring you the top 5 literary wasted picks, 2021.
I am excited to start. I'm gonna start Shadow and Bone tomorrow. I think.
Nice.
Here's the thing about this book. Like, it was fun and it was light, but it also, I feel like, had enough depth.
I thought you were gonna say meat, and I was gonna be like, "Whoa."
It added,
I love meat.
I mean, you know, the characters were fun for the most part, but they also had like their serious like stuff that they had like to deal with. You know, we talked a little bit about this last time. Like Kaz, we learned a lot more about Kaz and what he went through and why he wears those gloves. And like,
that was good.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Like, because of how he had to like float on his dead brother's body to
Floating.
We remember.
corpse.
You don't have to say it again. I don't think anybody forgot that part.
I mean, like, you know, they set that up. Like, why does he wear these gloves? And everybody has these like sort of mystical myths built up in their head about why he does this. But wow. That was way worse than I thought it was going to be.
And I'll say, going into the halfway point, I was kind of harping on the Matthias and Mina love story thing, and I actually ended up really liking them way more in the second half. Like, they were one of the really strong points. But like everyone's saying, I think because she does break it up into character-specific chapters, and she gives you a little bit of backstory with propelling the story, you do kind of end up really liking pretty much everyone in the story. So that's cool. But yeah, a lot of people are saying this is their favorite one. Favorite one of all these books. And we've read like 20-some books now.
And you apologize for it. So.
I apologize for the cliffhanger, not for the book.
If it makes you feel any better, when I got to the end of the book and I was like, what? I didn't. Yuck. No, Peggy. Bad Peggy. Christy, I want you to know, I never once did I think, I can't believe Christy chose a cliffhanger book. Like, it never even crossed my mind. So,
well, it's definitely something I tried not to do, but
Peggy, you win.
Clearly failed this time.
I will say this. I think it would have been frustrating to know that this was a series of 5 or 6 books, but knowing that it was a duology, that made it so much more manageable, personally anyways.
I was going to say this, is that I think we got a lot more of Jesper in the second half, and I was happy to get to know him better. So I'll get to Philip.
We got to know everybody better. There was so much character development for all 6 of them, like even Wylan. I was really impressed with how the author did that.
Yeah. I mean, we never got a Wylan chapter.
No, we didn't. But we did see him grow. Yeah,
we mostly got a sense of Wylan through Jesper's eyes. And you got a little bit of a twinge of something going on between them, like just a deep friendship or just a deeper appreciation, or maybe some.
I think it's a little more than that.
Some attraction, something, which maybe that pays off later on.
Yeah, we got another book.
Mike says he doesn't think that the Kaz Inej thing quite stuck the landing, and I agree with that. I mean, there was a lot of will they, won't they. Basically, this whole book is a big will they, won't they. And the Kaz Inej thing
makes his fingers crossed.
Yeah, the Kaz Inej thing, I don't know if I buy it just based on their history with each other.
I was fine for it to be totally platonic.
I expected it to.
I would almost rather it. Like I know where she was going with it, and I was like, no, I have enough of this between Matthias and Nina that I didn't need that.
Yeah.
But that's a young adult novel. There's got to be romance.
Yeah.
So in the discussion topics post, Peggy said Kaz's last line, which is "I'm going to get my money and I'm going to get my girl," felt unkaz to me. Anyone else think that?
I'm gonna go get my money and I'm gonna go get my girl.
Is he Batman?
He is Batman. We have watched every Batman movie in the past week, literally.
I feel like it would have been more Kaz to say investment instead of girl, even though we know it's more than that. But he's referred to her as that like twice, I think.
Yeah, I think that would have made it better.
Yeah.
But there were a couple of like lines in this book that made me roll my eyes, and that was one
did
of
I
them.
tell you? Is the face is the young adult face where so every now and then when it's the romance element, especially when it's tied to the romance element, there's always a moment where you still enjoy it. You're still going to read the book, but you're just kind of like.
Can we get that as a face for our T-shirt?
Yeah.
The romance, and it's just you going like that.
Yeah, I think the romance elements in general just felt a little unnecessary. Like I think the Matthias Nina thing had enough to sort of hold itself up, but I think that the Inej casting was a little forward. I think we could have gone with just one romantic relationship in this book, not three possible.
Especially with how complicated Nina and Matthias's relationship was. But I really appreciated not knowing which side Matthias was going to be on. Like, I totally bought that
that was good.
Gave them up. Yeah, I appreciated that.
That was a really good twist because I was like, what?
There were a few good twists in this book.
Yeah. I think that was one of my favorites.
Sure.
The Matthias putting Nina in the cage and then springing her. Turning on his old commanding officer.
Boliol Bayor not being alive. That was a good twist.
Yeah, being a child, because they were going in to kill him. And they're like, they got there and it's this little kid and they're like, ooh. I guess.
Oh, and the twist that Jesper is a Grisha. That was really interesting.
Oh yeah, we did get that in the second half.
Yeah.
Not just a fabricator, like the sort of an untrained. Like I've always felt that fabricators were a little underrepresented in this book, and then we got one, and he's like,
he can do some really cool stuff.
I did like when he killed the water manipulators with his clothing and like sunk it into their skin. That was pretty cool.
And yeah, this I saw something like this coming, but I did not see it coming the way that they did it. It was a good job on their part to have Nina remake Wylan into the little kid, basically. I did not see that happening. That was just like, ooh, that was cool. That was cool. But of course, at that point, I thought I had 30% of the book left. And I was like, man, it's really getting good. And then they took Inej away, and I was like, oh man, we're setting up for like the final confrontation here.
That was your final confrontation.
Yeah.
It's over. Like there was a whole third of the book that we were missing.
I want to know if Wylan just looks like Boliol Bayor's kid now. And everyone's saying that he wasn't a little kid. He's like a couple of years younger than the group.
No, they're all kids. I thought he was like 11.
I think he was a little older than that.
No.
I think it has more to do with
kid.
How they see like someone's life experience. Like even though Wylan is kind of the same age or maybe just a year younger than them, they see him as being a lot younger because he led like a cushy life. He isn't street hardened like they are. So I think it's similar for Scientist Kid. He's probably only 2 or 3 years younger than them, but he's an outsider. He's led a different life. He's soft in comparison. I perceived it.
I wouldn't call it a twist, but Mina taking one for the team and taking the drugs.
I saw that coming from a mile away, but the fact that she was willing to do it, like I almost felt like it was something Kaz would have kind of pushed on her, but it was something that she completely just decided to do on her own.
I knew we were going to see it again.
She just unleashed on everybody, and that was the cool part, was how she handled everybody. And I was just like, ooh. But I was also surprised to see sort of how in control she still was. Like that, you know, she just wasn't like sort of a crazy person on drugs. Like she still knew who her friends were and like what to do, and she could still have conversations. It just didn't like I didn't get enough of how people reacted to the super drug to know sort of how that was going to affect her. If she was just going to start like sort of base instinct, like, you know, killing people.
Because I agreed. I noticed that too. I was like, you know, I worried that when she took it, is she going to suffer like a major loss of control like we saw in the beginning of the book? And I wonder if some of it's just awareness. If you know, like a lot of these people were dosed against their will, essentially. If she knew going in, this is what I have to do, and that is the reason why she took it, I wonder if that's why she was able to retain the semblance of control over herself. Because she knew what it would do to her, whereas nobody else really knew, I think.
Yeah, that probably had a lot to do with it.
Yeah. But were we in her head? We weren't in her head when she took drugs. We weren't. It wasn't
I don't think
a Nina
so.
chapter, right? It was a Matthias chapter, wasn't it?
I kind of chuckled when she took that because I'm a big South Park fan, and for some reason it just made me think of Tally. And she's like, I know I can do it if I just get a little high, and then she becomes like a superhero. But I don't know. That's what I thought during that moment, and I couldn't kind of get it out of my head.
Yeah, you need to reread it.
The reference. I watched South Park. But yeah, we have a question here. How did Commander Brim to the port before them and with an army? How did Commander Brim get to the port before them and with an army? Because they had a tank.
Oh.
They were going in that tank.
It was the warning, though, right? Because remember, so when the alarm sounded, what's his face? Remember, they thought it was going to set off a panic, if I'm remembering correctly, because this was quite a few pages of something else ago. I feel like I remember, because I was confused in that moment as well of how they beat them there. When the alarm was sounding, what's his face? Bad leader dude was like, you know, go notify. I think he knew, like, because he did seem for a while to be a step ahead of everyone. Remember, he knew about Nina. He knew about everything. And when they set off the alarm, they thought they were going to get swarmed, and they didn't. No one else was showing up. And I think they were already headed to the docks because they knew that was where they were going to end up trying to go.
Yeah.
That's a good justification.
We didn't talk about, they didn't do much with it, but Jesper's revealed betrayal.
His leak.
Yeah.
He got a little too drunk and like blabbed to some people in a casino about his
He was
coming
scared.
fortune. And Matthias, I think, put it. He was like, he didn't intend to betray you, so there's no need to like take it out on him. It's not like big what's his face in the beginning of the book.
Yeah.
That he had sniped.
Yeah, I never really got mad at him about that because I could tell he felt awful about it from the get-go. Like, yeah, he had no malicious intentions. He just has problems, and he was caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, Jeff kind of is talking about this. There's a lot of stuff going on here about like sort of indentured servitude in this book. Like there's are we frozen? Are we back?
You're back.
Froze a little bit.
But like, you know, there's a lot of like people owning people in this book, whether it's like people in the menagerie, like Inej, or just a Grisha in general being like used by everybody and anybody. It's very heavy stuff. I don't really have anything else to say about that, but like it's disturbing.
To what Jeff said though about the Fjordans using the Grisha, I'm honestly not surprised by it because we already knew that they were corrupt and full of hate. If their entire culture is built around hunting and murdering other people, then I'm not really trusting how you run your country. So honestly, it didn't really shock me to be like, oh yes, look at all this cool stuff that we have it's because before we kill the Grisha, we use them as tools to advance ourselves. Like, they're the worst.
It kind of seems out of character though, because I don't know, their whole thing is getting rid of the Grisha and that they're tainted and not human. Like,
but see, that's the thing. So they're using them as tools. To them, they're not human. That's why they can treat them that way, because they really don't see them as humans.
But they also kept Boreal Bior's son, and they're like creating that or trying to create that drug. Like, I don't know, they're doing a lot of things that are counterintuitive to what their whole thing is about.
So we're talking about Kaz's growth. This is a new comment.
Yeah.
Kaz's growth and him sparing the Echo. Do you view that as like him growing, or do you view that as him being strategic?
Oh. No, I think that's total strategery. I mean, he totally set that up as, and I thought they had killed him. Like I when he came back with the bloody shirt, I was like, oh, okay.
Me too.
But I think that was kind of his ace in the hole. That okay, if all this goes sour, I've got this to lean back on. Plus, I think it turns the knife that much more for when he does finally enact his revenge. That it's kind of like. And he even kind of hints at it. It's like, you don't remember me, do you? And, you know, and by the time he leaves, he's stolen all this stuff. I don't know how the heck he did it, but he stole all this stuff and walked out. So, yeah, I think that was total strategy.
Oh, yeah, him stealing all this stuff. And then the book ended.
Yeah.
And the book ended.
But, yeah, I think, yeah, it was hard. It was hard for me to view Kaz as having growth in this book. Like, we're talking about Kaz and his growth, but I feel like he's the person that actually grew the least over the course of this book, because he was, well, I mean, he had his moments of like, all of a sudden he's like destroyed by his PTSD upon arrival at the ice court. Like, he just couldn't function for a while, and he was making all sorts of mistakes. But I don't know. Everything he does usually is so calculated, and he's always thinking like 30 steps ahead, even with the way that he views the people that he brings along, with maybe an exception of Inej, which he sort of wrestles with himself over, and then ultimately nothing. But except I'm going to get my girl.
Well,
but
he did open up a little bit to her and for her. So I think we did see some growth there. Well, you're mentioning how things kind of fell apart when they got arrested, but they went into the oh gosh, what is it called?
Court.
The ice court at the beginning. The way the book is set up, Kaz is like impossibly awesome. Like, he knows everything. He's 100 steps ahead of everybody, and nothing can go wrong for him. And he's smarter than everyone in the room, because we talked about that in the last discussion. The fact that they started going in and everything fell apart just over and over and over again, I really appreciated that, because I was worried it was going to be so seamless and kind of boring, but they really had to just adapt and figure it out, and they somehow did.
God, yeah, the second they got in the wagon, he friggin' fainted. And I was like, things are not, I don't think he planned that.
Definitely not. No.
Jumping back to growth super, super quick, though, I did just want to say, he did acknowledge, like, we got to see a hint of there was too much attachment to Inej in the beginning. And he did say, I can't wait. I'm going to get a new spider, get rid of her. Can't deal. That's a weakness. Don't want it. And he was very much like, gonna take care of that issue. And then at the end, for him to ask her and be like, please stay. I know it's small, but that's growth.
Yeah.
But it's because he needs her.
Yeah.
But I thought this was weird too. That Pekka Rollins himself went to the ice court to run the job. I wouldn't necessarily call it a really small con, since it's one of the biggest prison breaks of all time. But yeah, going himself, like, it's not like, well, I mean, I guess what's his name? Kaz's boss is too old and frail for that kind of thing. But,
I don't remember his name.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine like the big boss going on. You don't let the captain go on the away mission, you know what I mean? Take a shot. That was a Star Trek reference.
I don't know. I mean,
Take a shot.
but he is the con man, though. Like, there was a reason Kaz was hired, and it's because of his skill set. They didn't just hire just the underlings for this kind of job. And so if this is, you're breaking into the unbreakable place, you know, we know that he's the man. He likes to run the con himself. That's how we first met him, even though we didn't know that it was him initially. You know, he ran the con on Kaz and Geordi, and maybe he just likes being in the action. He's not an old dude who likes to sit back and let an underling run things for him.
He likes to go on his own away missions.
I did think it was interesting that the people who hired Kaz also hired Pekka Rollins. Like, I don't know. That was
The merchant people kind of all around evil.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But Van Eck, he went off the grid, right? Like this wasn't part of the whole merchant council thing. This is this guy like trying to seize an opportunity to take the drug for himself and rule the world. He was a megalomaniacal supervillain.
And a bad dad.
And a bad dad who admitted how much he hated his kid in front of his kid, unbeknownst to him. But Weiland handled it pretty well, I'd say.
So we had a discussion topic from Caitlin, and she said she wanted to talk about Weiland's growth by the end, from outsider to what he's willing to do for the group.
I think, What?
Go ahead.
I was like, I think he grew. Yeah, I think he grew both in himself and also like in the eyes of everybody else. Like he was collateral in the beginning, but then by the end he was part of the six.
Yeah.
One of the six of crows, both in his own mindset and in the minds of the rest of them.
I love that he went to Kaz and was like, I know you think I'm leverage, but I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah. Joke's on you.
Well, I mean, the fact that he, I guess, wanted to help enough to like even say that.
Yeah. It says Weiland found his family.
Yeah.
It's all about family, but everybody in the book has some sort of family trauma.
Yeah.
You just stopped there, and I was like, no, they don't.
They all have sort of, whether it's not like issues with their family, or just like terrible things that have happened with their family. Like, you know, there's this thing with Jesper and his dad that kind of goes unexplored.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of sad. I mean, it's not unexplored. You just kind of hear anecdotally certain things about what would my dad think of this. You know, he's constantly thinking about his dad. Inej is not sure whether her parents will accept her anymore. Like, she wants to go home, but like, is the life that she leads and what's been done to her, is that like unacceptable in their eyes? Kaz obviously, his brother was killed by the sickness, and then he had to ride him to shore.
No.
Matthias, not necessarily blood family, but like he basically betrayed, he turned his back on his people.
Yeah.
Like Worf.
Just like Worf.
Just like Worf. And Nina, what was her family thing? Did she have a family thing?
She was just in the army.
She was just there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think hers is more about the Grisha period and her people as a whole. than necessarily like her immediate family.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Wyland, of course, we know what his deal was.
God,
His dad's so
Daddy
bad.
writes you letters that you can't read on purpose.
Can you imagine, like,
Sick.
how freaking sadistic you have to be to punish your child even more and be like rubbing it in there? Like, he's taking time. He's a merchant. He's a busy dude. He's taking time out of his day to write these butthead letters to his son because he's getting some kind of like sadistic joy out of it. What a monster.
I will say that this, among other things that happened in this book, kind of reshaped my mind and how I think about young adult books for the better. I think that I was happy to see that there was sort of these layers of awfulness to these people, and that there was like sort of not, and I don't know what my perceptions were at the beginning, but we had read Red Rising, and that was young adult, and that had some awfulness in it.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think it felt as visceral as this, if that makes any sense.
You need
Maybe
to
it's
go
just-
reread
maybe it's
some
just
of that,
been a
Adam.
while.
It's been a while. I think.
But
Or like continue reading the series. I did not retain at all that it was young adult.
Brandy loves YA books.
And
So talking about, y'all keep bringing up Kaz's experience in the water with his brother, but Caitlin asked, or she wanted to talk about the juxtaposition of Kaz's experience in the water versus Nina and Matthias's was interesting.
They both have water things.
Well, one caused trauma and the other one caused trust and like the growth of a relationship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Kaz trusted that his brother's bloated body would carry him to shore.
Not what we're talking about.
I was gonna say maybe it does though. Maybe it depends on if the body you're holding onto is alive or dead.
It really does sort of change the way you look at things. But they did both have water rescues. So
Well,
to
to be
speak.
fair though, if you look at the map, there's a lot of water on there, so someone's bound to have a water story.
Also, Bethany
There it is,
said
symbolic.
Bethany said in the discussion topics post that she'd been telling her husband about how, or she was making fun of Kaz about how he keeps wearing gloves and had a cane. Like he was just trying to be quirky or making himself stand apart. And then she read the bit about him floating back to shore on his brother's body and how he hurt his leg later.
Yeah.
And she had to rescind her earlier snarkiness.
Fair.
Yes, I apologize. He clearly is dealing with some stuff. Like,
Yeah, he
but
needs them.
it comes across as sort of like this affectation, this air that he's putting on.
Well, the fact that he let all the rumors, well, he didn't even, it's not that he let the rumors fly. He fanned them. He fanned the flames of all of them.
Well, it added to his mythos, to his like larger than life personality. But really, what it is like major trauma that he can't get past.
But it also like protects him. If you build this reputation, like he can't stand anyone touching him. So if you build a reputation around, you don't want to touch that guy, then he's protecting himself. He's creating a barrier. He's preventing people from getting close to him, literally and physically. Like, what?
Now, what I wanted to see more of regarding Kaz is, since we were getting backstory, I wanted to see more of how he learned to fight, because he seemed to be a really good fighter, and he could it was almost like in the Robert Downey Jr. Sherlock Holmes movies where like he's like, here comes the fist, let's do this and let's go uppercut to here. It was like that calculated. Like Kaz didn't I don't believe that he was not like a big muscle guy, but he like knew how to move and he knew how to hit people despite having a messed up leg.
Mm-hmm.
Well, after his brother died, he went and joined the Dregs, and I think he found a family there, or some kind of family, and that's just something you learn or you die.
Well,
I think I did read that.
but it's
Yeah.
it's not like there's different ways of like learning how to fight. You can be scrappy like in the streets, or you can be like calculated about like literally everything. Like Matthias, this big like soldier guy. Granted, he was a little bit weakened during his time at the Hellgate. Like Kaz handled him handily when he came at him.
I think he's also like, yes, he's very scrappy. He's been on his own defending himself since he was little. But I think that cane helps a lot. Remember, it's a Gracia made cane. So he's lived his life now holding that weapon. I think that weapon is a part of him.
Yeah.
So I don't know that he's necessarily like the most skilled fighter. He's just got an extension of himself that can inflict real damage.
But he also handled himself in the prison.
Oh yeah, without the cane.
Without the cane, when that, like the guy was antagonizing him, and he was like, "All right, who am I going to make an example out of so I could teach people not to mess with me?"
People also underestimate him because he is crippled.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think he uses that to his advantage very much.
Yeah. And a couple of people were talking about how he would watch people and observe, but Leanne said that also he has a photographic memory, and that might also help.
He's just a gifted fellow.
He is. Clearly.
Yeah. He needs something to balance out all that ugh in his life.
He can think 20 moves ahead. He can plan for contingencies upon contingencies, and he knows like when to say things and when not to say things. He's a very impressive character, even though I don't know if I liked him.
I like him as a character. I like reading about him, and I like a story revolving around him. Because he's fascinating.
I really like him as a character. I do find him fascinating, and I'm interested in his story. I don't want to be friends with him.
Yeah,
but,
I would want to know him.
No, but I love to read about him. Very excited to watch Shadow and Bone and see this horrible haircut. So,
Apparently, there's a lot of really good.
Is he supposed to have a horrible haircut?
They mention it a few times. I think jokingly people like pick at him. It's very intentional. He does not think it's a terrible haircut, I believe.
Oh, in the book.
Yes.
Okay. I'm catching up.
Okay. Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah, I was just looking at his hands, and they look normal. They were just
like
normal
giant.
hands. Like people were expecting him to take off his gloves and have like skeleton hands and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Or like be scarred.
Or not have thumbs. They're fake thumbs. The gloves have thumbs. That would have been funny. Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, but Kaz.
Yeah.
So Adrienne said she thinks it would be interesting to talk about loyalty and how it's earned. There is more than one instance of the loyalty you've grown up with changing after experience to those that have stuck their neck out for you instead. I mean, we definitely see that. I think the most obvious instance of that is Matthias.
I was talking about Kaz's hair, Matt. God, Matt.
God, Matt, pay attention. Jeez.
But yeah, no, Matthias had a bad haircut too. That's
So what was it about a loyalty?
Yeah, just in how it's earned, how based on just your experiences, how your loyalty changes from like how you grew up.
It's a deep conversation. It's like nature versus nurture, right? I mean, all these people, they did come from different backgrounds, and their lives did not go how they were supposed to go. And sometimes you stab people in the back to survive, and then they had to. I'm trying to be so careful because I can't remember what's in the first book and the second book. I'm just gonna. Okay.
I think I was kind of disappointed, not disappointed, maybe a little disappointed in that it kind of resolved on its own, wholly unbeknownst to Kaz. Like, I feel like Kaz should have picked up on the fact that Nina and Matthias were planning on killing the guy.
Yeah.
But that just, like, it was contained within the two of them.
Maybe he did, because Matthias and Nina were supposed to go find Boyol Bior together, and he changed the plan and went with Nina instead. So maybe he did pick up on it, and they just didn't feel the need to clarify that.
I feel like he picks up on lots of things and knows lots of
Lets-
things and
lets
doesn't
things
let
go.
us know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, unless it truly is going to affect us in the story, then we don't know that Kaz knows. I'm going to assume Kaz knows just about everything that's going on.
Well, and
It
he's
was
all
such a
about
big thing.
he's all about leverage, right? So he's going to hold on to that until he needs it, and then
Yeah.
he's going to use it. And so I think you're right, Talia. He's very observant, and when the time comes to address it, that's when he addresses it.
Yeah.
It did
I
separate
agree.
them.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of y'all read like there's a Q&A in the back of the physical book. And one of the things people keep mentioning that this reminds them of Ocean's 11. And I thought that was so funny. She was driving down the road and she saw a billboard with George Clooney on it. Yeah, and she didn't want to see that movie, but it reminded her. It's like, I should rewatch Ocean's 11 again. And then she nearly drove off the road because all she could think of was magical heist. So that's why we have Six of Crows.
I think that comes across very clearly in the book, but I also love that she straight up owns it.
I'm
I
cool
feel
with
like
it.
some authors would have been like, oh, I just came up with this idea. And she's like, no, I wanted to watch Ocean's 11. Like,
Yeah.
Well, Ocean's 11 is kind of like the quintessential like modern heist movie.
Mhm.
It's like
Good.
it is good, and they made like 5 more.
They did. Well, and a lot of people are mentioning other heist movies and TV shows that this kind of reminded them they wanted to watch.
I
Or
can't even think of
reminded
another
of them.
heist.
well, like Leverage. Someone mentioned the
Ocean's
show
12.
Leverage.
Ocean's 12.
Yes, of course.
Ocean's 8.
I didn't see that one.
I did.
There was an Ocean's.
It's just like
13.
Ocean's 11, except ladies.
Oh, yes. Yes.
But yeah, I mean, and I think that she did a good job. You know, like the whole time I was reading this book, I was thinking like a heist book has to be like one of the hardest things to write because like
yeah.
There's
You know,
lots of
it's-
things
it's-
to tie.
there's lots of things going on. You've got to have some twists and turns. You got to have some originality. You've got to like know how it's going to go, and you have to know you basically assemble this group of people, each one with a specialty, and you got to know how that's all going to fit in, how it's going to tie together. You got to that's something you really got to map out like really well, and you got to like set up the obstacles too for them to like. It's just like the whole time I was reading, I was like, man, like good on you, Leigh Bardugo. Like you wrote like a really convincing heist story with a bunch of twists and turns and roadblocks and
I think in some way doing it in a fantasy setting makes it easier because you can write your way out of a lot of things because it's like, oh, how am I going to do that? This person can use fire out of
magic.
So I think that in some way definitely helps the author.
But no, it's still, yeah.
It's still great
just
though. No, she did a very good
It's very
job.
complex without seeming complex, honestly. Like it wasn't, after that initial, second chapter where you're thrown all of these names. And if you haven't read the Shadow and Bone trilogy, it's just like all this new information and you're like, I don't understand this world just yet. But like once you get through that, this was an easy, fun read, which for my brain was super appreciated. Did not feel like reading anything hard right now.
Yeah.
And it was a lot of fun. And with the flying wizard stealing the best character. Yeah, well, and then you don't think it's the end. You think it's just a setup for like the big battle, and then it is the end.
Was it a wizard?
I am mad at her.
A wizard or a sorcerer? I don't think they had a hat, Philip. And I hope you get that reference.
I got it.
Thank you.
The squalors for the edge cliffhanger.
Like
Deus Ex Magica.
Machina.
I don't get it.
Yeah, it's Deus Ex Machina. It's basically like the hand of God influencing the story. It's when you just explain stuff away.
Oh.
It's a bad plot device, basically. But
So you don't feel like she used it recklessly.
No.
Nothing, because there was nothing in this book. I think it would have been different. Nothing in this book came easy. If there had been sections or like portions of the story that came easy, then yeah, you're like, oh, the magic makes that real nice, doesn't it? But for me, everything they struggled, and it was
also whenever they
interesting to read
did use magic, it was set up earlier. Like, you can claim that Jesper being a fabricator is kind of a deus ex machina to get them out of the thing. But Kaz knew it. Jesper just wasn't very forthcoming. Like that's, everyone's like, well, why are you here? You're the guy with the guns and you can't even bring your guns into the prison. He's like, well, I can do a little bit more than that. And it didn't, like Kira was saying, whoops, wrong one.
Sorry, Joe.
That's good. He's talking about that.
Did have a cost. But yeah, like I think, even like Nina using the drugs at the end, even though it was a little predictable, you're like, you're not just explaining it away. Or like, like Joe saying, it has a cost. No free lunch.
Yeah.
With the Grisha myth.
Yeah. Well, and we don't even know if she's going to survive. I mean, I assume she is since she's one of the 6 crows, but like we left
Can I tell
her.
you? The name of the next book is Five of Crows.
Oh, shit.
I'm just kidding. It's not that.
It's
I was
Kaz.
like, for real?
No, it's called Crooked Kingdom.
But
Which honestly, thinking about it now.
yeah, it was an easy book to suspend your disbelief. Like you just kind of went along for the ride, and it was a fun ride.
It was a fun ride.
But yeah.
So which character backstory or side plot was your favorite?
Favorite.
Because we got a lot of that in this book, which I actually really appreciated.
The front half, I really was into the Inej and Kaz stuff and their things, but honestly, I was really surprised because at the end, I was really into the Matthias and Mina stuff. I think getting him into his homeland and seeing a little bit more about him and their story, and some of the difficulties that he had reconciling himself. I felt like he had one of the bigger character arcs. So I think theirs was probably one of the stronger ones for me. And I was surprised because going into like I said, the second half, I was just like, y'all get over your teenage angst and like just, yeah.
I think we got a lot of Inej's in the comments. People saying Inej was the best. I think one of my favorite, just sort of like, moments was Inej. First of all, like volunteering to put back on the silks of the menagerie and going back in with the menagerie, but also finally pulling one over on Tante Helene and stealing the diamond and all of that stuff was just like a great bit of comeuppance for that bit of storyline, and a good moment for Inej too, especially considering like last time she came in contact with Tante Helene, she froze up and like couldn't be the Wraith for a second because she was just so like stuck in her own trauma.
Yeah,
but that was good for me.
Didn't someone in the last discussion say an Inej and what's her name from
Leigh Bard.
Leigh Bard, yeah.
Well, and then when Inej started talking about how she wants to get her own ship and basically be a pirate, I was like, oh my gosh, her and Lila were meant to be together.
Oh yeah, that was really sad, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
What was yours?
I really liked all the backstories. I think while it was the most heartbreaking and just tragic, Kaz's backstory, I appreciated having, and especially I think it added so much to the story and to his character because he's the ringleader of all of it, and I liked kind of knowing why he is the way he is.
I like Jesper too, Philip. I'm gonna go with you there.
Yeah, and I want more Jesper in the next book. He's a really fun character.
Talia knows too much.
Yeah, I'm not going to say anything because I'll say this. I'm not going to say
anything. Okay.
Simply because it is now kind of, how like in this first book, she has the way that you get this backstory is you see flashes of the past. And so that kind of muddies the timeline in my head quite a bit because she does hold to a similar formula in the second book. And so you do get more information as you continue in the second book. And honestly, so now the timeline is just totally jacked for me when it comes to flashbacks on whose is where. And I don't want to give anybody else's backstory away. But I do feel like the duology together is very, very well fleshed out. And I loved, honestly, I would have had a hard time picking really at the end of this, because you do really feel like this appreciation and connection for everybody after you learn more about them. I don't think I could really pick, honestly.
No.
Yeah, she used Helene's diamond to cut the glass wall.
He ha ha.
And also this.
But also,
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. I loved that. And then I loved at the end when Kaz took everything from Pekka Rollins' pockets.
Yeah, that
They
was
did
cool.
arrow this book.
Do I
Y'all
get
seen
that reference?
CW show
Oh.
Arrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
man. Season 1's fantastic.
Not just one. It had a few.
Two was good too?
It had a few good seasons. We had to stop watching it, but it got too crazy. But we were stuck in there for like 3 or 4 seasons.
But we shouldn't have.
You know, it was good. I enjoyed.
Season 1 was phenomenal.
But yeah. Well, now we're like 3 minutes out from
Yeah.
the hour. We already know if Talia's going to read the second book.
Do you? I did, and then I bought all the rest, and I'm gonna read those too.
And Christy, you already got it.
I already got it. It's ready to go.
I have several books on my to read list because hey, listen, I read more books than what we're reading in this book club now. I don't know if you know this, but Christy has officially turned me into a reader.
Not just me. You guys helped.
Yeah, y'all help
Oh,
too.
it took like a decade.
Yeah, so
Still counts.
I'm making my way through the Bobiverse. See, I'm on the final book. It's like the movie to the trilogy's TV show. It's pretty good.
The Who-diverse?
The Bobiverse.
We Are Legion.
We Are
It was a
Legion.
new
Oh, the
book
Yaga?
deal,
Okay.
like it last June, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm reading that. I got some other stuff, but I want to read the next one. I think I'm going to put it on my list and put it on my Kindle because that's what I do now. I read.
Look at you.
So
We did it. It took 2 years of the book club, but we did it. Your turn.
I will read it eventually, but like I said, I want to reread this when I've got a little less distraction.
You're never gonna have less distraction. I know your life.
I know. But it's okay. It's one of those. Hey, would I recommend it to somebody? Yeah, totally. I would say, hey, if you want a fun kind of fantasy heist book, this is a really cool read, and there's 2 of them. It's a pretty quick read.
I already bought the duology for a friend and sent it to her in Scotland for her birthday.
Aw.
So yeah, so I would highly recommend it.
Hey.
No,
Awesome.
I'm not there at all.
We're clapping for Matt.
I know. Good job, Matt. Good job. Look at all these readers.
I do have a TBR list, Cindy. It's stressful.
Welcome to the life we've chosen for ourselves. We
But
did this.
gosh, you guys, reading is kind of cool.
It is.
You know, you can get a library card for free.
Oh my god. Okay.
That's a Fonzie reference.
Jennifer wants to know, what is April's book?
Oh, well.
Well, you were prepared.
It's
It
called
is.
Red Sister by Mark Lawrence. It's about nerds.
It's about nuns who
Murder
are
nerds.
assassins.
Assassin nuns.
And so we had a vote in February,
Yes.
and the vote was so close between Six of Crows and Red Sister that we just did both of them. So if you can't decide now, when we do the polls on Facebook, you can pick more than one. I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can pick more than one choice in the poll. So pick one, pick 2, pick all of them, and it's a whole new ball game.
And the discussion dates are April 14th and 28th. the 14th and 28th. I don't remember what the midway point is, but you can go
It's great.
find the video with the book announcement. It'll be on the cover photos. I'm going to update the cover photos on the Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and everything, and in the group. I'll update those tomorrow morning, and that'll say the midway point. It's 20 something.
Yes, invite Christopher. We want Christopher. We want Christopher.
Yes.
Tell him we said that. Show him this part. So say, hey, Christopher, let's scroll to wherever we are. 1 hour and 1 minute into the video.
13 seconds.
And hey, Christopher, hi. You should join us for April because it's Red Sister and it's Murder Nuns. My name's Adam. This is Christy. That's Tally and Lucas, and we sure would love to have you, Christopher.
We like to read.
Yeah. So there.
Jenny Jones, the second discussion's on her birthday. We should all eat cake.
Oh, that's my mom's birthday too.
Cake.
You have the same birthday as my mom.
April 28th.
Oh, my mom's the 27th.
Oh,
we are going to eat
the
so
25th.
much cake.
There we go.
So much cake, you guys.
I will eat all the cake.
Mine's June 11th.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any other announcements?
Yes, quickly. So we stopped doing this for a little bit just because of time and stuff. But we have a game club too. We don't talk about it a lot, but
That's
a
the
lot
first
of
rule.
cool people are here. That's the first rules. You don't talk about game club. But someone do me a favor. Put a link into Geek Word Game Club. But we're gonna pick up and we're gonna play Hades this month.
It's good.
So if you like video games, this was regarded as the best game of 2020. Christy's even played it. Christy loved it.
It's a great game. Everyone
It
should
is.
play it.
So yeah, so go join the game club. I think we're looking at Wednesday or Thursday, the 21st or 22nd. It'll be a super casual discussion. You don't have to have beaten it, but it's available for about every system. So go join us there. And guys, by the time we get to the first discussion, I think we will have written a book. This book club has brought 44 people together, and look at this. That is the current state of this book. It is amazing. It's going to be over 100 pages with illustrations, and everyone's just been so fantastic. And so that's Take a Shot Stories, and it's going to be awesome. I know I've been dropping hints every week. But yeah, so if and those people, Natalie, I know is writing right now. It's just awesome. It's been such a cool experiment that's actually worked, and you know how it is when you actually have an experiment that works. It's even better. So
and
yeah,
hey,
be on the
listen,
lookout.
like there's going to be, for you new folks, there'll be more opportunities to get in on the, if
Yes.
that's your thing. We're always going to be reading and talking about books. But if you're interested in writing, there'll be more. So Christopher, hey, we do lots of things in Literarily Wasted. We talk about books. We write books. We do all sorts of fun things. So hey, Christopher, you want to be with us next time?
If you haven't scared him off yet, he's super going to join the club.
But it's true. We've had a lot of people express interest in writing short stories. So we may look into doing a short story compilation. That's easier on me because, putting this together is, it's an effort every week because we're going off of this map, and you can see all my notes and okay, this person wrote this decision, and then I go back and compiling it now is a real bear because every time I make an edit to a page, I have to go back and put everything back together. Please love us, Christopher.
Deirdre, you didn't miss anything. I don't know either.
What did she?
Somebody said, hey, we should get Christopher in on the Nun book, which I'm assuming is Christopher is not part of our book club, and he should be. Yeah, Martin's enjoying doing Take a Shot. Yeah, it's fun. I've written a segment. Lucas has written and sort of edited the whole thing.
It's a team effort, but yeah, it's honestly it's one of the best parts of my weekend. I spend Saturday and Sunday reading everybody's and giving some suggestions. I am not a professional editor, but I'm faking it. Fake it till I make it, baby. So anyway, that's all I got.
Well, another fun book in the books.
Yes.
Next month we've got Red Sister. It's going to be awesome. And as always, thank you so much for joining us. It's a pleasure and a big joy for us to be able to do this with y'all. So stay tuned for more fun things, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.
No mourners.
No graves.
Funerals.